The European Economic Area was established via the Agreement on the European Economic Area, an international agreement which enables the extension of the European Union's single market to member states of the European Free Trade Association. The EEA links the EU member states and 3 EFTA states into an internal market governed by the same basic rules. These rules aim to enable free movement of persons, goods, services, and capital within the European single market, including the freedom to choose residence in any country within this area. The EEA was established on 1 January 1994 upon entry into force of the EEA Agreement. The contracting parties are the EU, its member states, and Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway. The EEA treaty is a commercial treaty and differs from the EU treaties in certain key respects. According to Article 1, its purpose is to promote a continuous and balanced strengthening of trade and economic relation. The EFTA members do not participate in the Common Agricultural Policy or the Common Fisheries Policy. The right to free movement of persons between EEA member states and the relevant provisions on safeguard measures are identical to those applying between members of the EU. The right and rules applicable in all EEA member states, including those which are not members of the EU, are specified in Directive 2004/38/EC and in the EEA Agreement. The EEA Agreement specifies that membership is open to member states either of the EU or of the EFTA. EFTA states that are party to the EEA Agreement participate in the EU's internal market without being members of the EU or the European Union Customs Union. They adopt most EU legislation concerning the single market, with notable exclusions including laws regarding the Common Agricultural Policy and Common Fisheries Policy. The EEA's decision-shaping processes enable EEA-EFTA member states to influence and contribute to new EEA policy and legislation from an early stage. Third country goods are excluded for these states on rules of origin. When entering into force in 1994, the EEA parties were 17 states and 2 European communities. The European Community, which was later absorbed into the EU's wider framework, and the now defunct European Coal and Steel Community. Membership has grown to 30 states as of 2020 is to 27 EU member states, as well as 3 of the 4 member states of the EFTA. The agreement is applied provisionally with respect to Croatia, the remaining and most recent EU member state, pending ratification of its accession by all EEA parties. 1 EFTA member, Switzerland, has not joined the EEA, but has a set of bilateral sectoral agreements with the EU which allow it to participate in the internal market. In the late 1980s, the EFTA member states, led by Sweden, began looking at options to join the then existing European Economic Community, the precursor of the European Union. The reasons identified for this are manifold. Many authors cite the economic downturn at the beginning of the 1980s, and the subsequent adoption by the EEC of the Europe 1992 agenda as a primary reason, arguing from a liberal intergovernmentalist perspective. These authors argue that large multinational corporations in EFTA countries, especially Sweden, pressed for EEC membership under threat of relocating their production abroad. Other authors point to the end of the Cold War, which made joining the EEC less politically controversial for neutral countries. Meanwhile, Jacques Delors, who was president of the European Commission at the time, did not like the idea of the EEC enlarging with more member states, as he feared that it would impede the ability of the community to complete internal market reform and establish monetary union. He proposed a European economic space in January 1989, which was later renamed the European Economic Area, as it is known today. By the time the EEA was established in 1994, however, several developments hampered its credibility. First of all, Switzerland rejected the EEA agreement in a national referendum on 6 December 1992. Obstructing full EU-EFTA integration within the EEA. Furthermore, Austria had applied for full EEC membership in 1989, and was followed by Finland. Norway, Sweden, and Switzerland between 1991 and 1992. The fall of the Iron Curtain had made the EU less hesitant to accept these highly developed countries as member states, since that would relieve the pressure on the EU's budget when the former socialist countries of Central Europe were to join. The EEA agreement was signed in Porto on the 2nd of May 1992 by the then 7 states of the European Free Trade Association, the European Community and its then 12 member states. On the 6th of December 1992, Switzerland's voters rejected the ratification of the agreement in a constitutionally mandated referendum, effectively freezing the application for AIC membership submitted earlier in the year. Switzerland is instead linked to the EU by a series of bilateral agreements on